let's start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Are we all right? The flag is behind us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I ask that we all remain standing for just a moment. As many of you may be aware, within the last week or so, we did have a very tragic incident that we dealt with here in the Eastern School District, and we, as a family unit, we all hurt, and one of us hurt. So, in that essence, we'd like to hold a moment of silence tonight in memory of Bonnie Jean Miller, who was a bus driver with us here in Eastern. Thank you. Thank you. Let's jump right in. I don't see Mr. Ogie with us this evening, so we will jump right into athletics. I'll ask Mr. Chris to come forward.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As usual, at the end of the conclusion, at the end of the season, we'll do a quick report on athletics and what is going on. So as Ann gets that ready, we have some of the athletes this evening, which I'll get to in a minute, and we'll give them their Scholar Athlete medal. Okay, next slide. Okay, 2013-14 Disclosure Act is on our website, which is part of the PDE requirement this time, this year to do that. And it's been up there since, I want to say, October. And one of the interesting facts in that report is that it shows our booster clubs have donated $117,000 back to the school district in order for us to buy equipment and so on. That's not all the money that they hold in their budgets, as booster clubs, but it's what they actually gave to us in items and equipment. Eastern Pennsylvania Conference Student Athlete Character Council, we still have those athletes up there representing Easton. Senior male, Colin Ebert. Senior female, Morgan Weiss. Junior male, we have two, Evan Fidelis and Brian Regal, and our junior female rep is Sarah Lutz. They just returned from the Pentagon about 3 weeks ago on one of their field trips to learn more about leadership. That was a great event for them. They took some nice pictures, and I believe we used to have them on the website, right? Okay, this evening we do have a few of our Scholar Athletes from the winter that were, again, our EPC Winter Scholar Athletes. So when I call them, I'll have them come up, I'll give them their medal, shake your hand, and I believe they get a certificate at the same time. And again, I have some of the medals that they did not receive yet. So first, cheerleading, Kaylee Mellett, come on up. I'll give Kaylee her medal here. You have one. You got one already. Where are you going to school at, Kaylee?
Pittsburgh University.
Pittsburgh University. Will you participate in cheerleading?
Tryouts this weekend.
Tryouts this weekend.
Thank you.
And I did have the opportunity to travel with cheerleading a few times this year as they ventured for the league championship, the district championship, and also out of states in Hershey. So, a very successful year. I did not get to go to Florida with them, though.
Isn't that funny?
Next, boys basketball. Mike Fleming, come on up. If I remember correctly, Michael is going to the University, East Stroudsburg University to play football.
So you should be on it. Sorry. Is that where were you in here? I look at your board docs.
Our girls basketball scholar athlete is Dominique Moser. However, I do not see her here this evening. Okay, next, boys swimming and diving. We have Eric Gadzinas. Eric, come on up. Eric is going to participate in swimming club team at Westchester University. So congratulations to Eric.
Yeah, but it's like a little.
Oh, no, he's still giving out now. Oh, good. I know, it's like,
I'm going to say girls diving because I think she only swam in one race, but she's mainly a diver. Kelsey Yale. Kelsey, come on up. That's right. She's going to Towson, and her name will be up on one of the next slides. She did receive a scholarship to go there for diving. I did have the opportunity to travel to Bucknell to watch Kelsey dive. Some good competition out there, some great swimmers, and all of our girls that were out there accomplished a lot on the stage, if you want to call it that. Okay, last but not least, wrestling. Scott Betts, come on up. Scott is going to Temple University, and he's going to wrestle for the club team down there. So good luck to Scott when he goes there.
Brian Slater. I'm not sure when he came in.
And again, thank you to our scholar athletes and their parents, because obviously it takes a lot of effort and energy to be a scholar athlete along with being a good athlete. So thank you for all their time and all their running back and forth that they do. Winter athletic season, I put some of the totals up there of the number of kids on our teams this year. I won't read all of them, but that's the list of the number. Okay, next slide. And there are the remaining teams and what we had for the winter season. Total winter athletes that made our team was approximately 400 kids, and of those, we had about 144 tryout that had to be cut or left the team for some reason before the end of the season was over. Next slide. Some highlights. Again, we have all the records up there of our teams. Varsity girls basketball, I made a mistake here. They did make the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference playoffs. They made it to the district playoffs, district championship game and lost, and they made it to the PIAA playoffs also. So I omitted that and should not have, and if Coach Lutz sees that, he will not be happy. Indoor track ran a few invitationals. 3 of them went to the state meet, and they are mentioned there. Varsity wrestling also wrestled in all the playoffs, and we had a few go to the state meet. Junior high, at the bottom there, we had a Coach of the Year and Coach Brian Dahmer for the District 11. Okay. Also, we had a District 11 champion, obviously, for the last, I believe, 66, 67 years, whatever it was. Unbelievable run. Next slide shows our academics for the winter season. And if you look over there, you can see how many athletes were ineligible out of that total on a weekly basis. And at the end, if you add that up, it would be 22 total for the entire winter season. St. Luke's, that's the same slide I had up there for the fall season. However, Maria Pavlo, St. Luke's contracted employee, they come with the contract. She is out on maternity leave, so we now have Dana Bennett working with us. And at the very bottom there, St. Luke's is starting to work with us now and offering some parent, student, athlete kind of seminars. And on Thursday, April 30th, they'll be in the main gym talking about athletics and proper nutrition. And they're opening that up to almost anyone that would want to come and hear that 1-hour presentation. Winter Sports Medicine Department, physical exams. We only have to physical an athlete one time each year now. So most of them get that done in the fall. They don't have to all be re-examined in the winter, so that number's lower than in the past. We collected about $3,000 in physical exam fees to pay for that. You can see the evaluations, taping, rehab, and treatments that our trainers do on a daily basis. And at the bottom there, the impact testing, which again, compliments of St. Luke's, how many athletes have been impact tested. This year we will do that again in late May, and we will only have to do the test on the athletes that were not tested this year, or the new athletes into the program. Our college-bound student athletes, all those I believe were up in the fall presentation. However, Alex Pennington will sign her letter of intent tomorrow for field hockey. She just finished a softball game a few minutes ago out here on our complex. But she's going to go to Ohio University for field hockey. And at 9 o'clock in the gym lobby, she'll have some of her teammates and coaches and a family there to sign that commitment to go to college and participate in athletics. Some revenue updates. I received this morning, or on Monday I should say, from the business department. Mr. Simon and I allocated about $200,000 in revenue. We've collected $226,000 so far. A few more dollars may come in from the state of Pennsylvania being reimbursed for our teams making some playoffs. Won't be a whole lot, but that's a pretty good figure for the end of the year. Special event revenue, we anticipate $30,000. We're up to $41,000. And again, that comes from playoff reimbursements, the physical exam fees, and everything we get reimbursed for the state. Football, we anticipated $130,000 revenue, and we collected about $156,000. Wrestling did not hit their mark. Wrestling fans lately, it's been difficult. Not as big a crowd as what we used to have many years ago. For some reason, that's pretty consistent throughout the Lehigh Valley. Wrestling fans in general have not come out to view wrestling matches as they did 5 to 7 years ago for some reason. Girls basketball actually went over their revenue projection, which that's the first in a few years for me in doing that, and I probably attribute that to Coach Lutz and a great season that he had. And boys basketball got very close to their $10,000 mark, and they collected about $9,600 in ticket sales. Total athletic events to date, 975 home and away events I scheduled, and we probably have about 1,000 more to go in the next 3 weeks because of the bad weather we had this spring. I want to say we have 10 or 12 events every single day from here until the second week of May, just to fit them in because of the bad weather. Our girls softball team is scheduled to play 6 days this week, baseball 5 days, calling for rain Friday. We're trying to avoid using Sundays right now. A few teams in our league, the 2 Catholic schools, played on Sunday after church. So if I need to utilize that, I will contact Mr. Reinhardt, but we're doing everything we can to try to maybe play double headers and to fit them in before our date and our deadline. However, there is an opportunity we may have to utilize a Sunday before we get to that playoff deadline. Some upcoming events: Alex Pennington signing, the Easton High School Wall of Fame Athletic Banquet on Saturday night, and then our Varsity E Alumni Awards in the main gym is on Wednesday, May 27th. And that concludes my presentation, and at this time, if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them. Okay? If not, thank you for your time.
Seeing none, there is nothing to move forward to the board meeting, so we will move on to number 3, academics with Ms. Press.
Okay, Mr. Steckel and Ms. DeVitro will be giving us the K-12 academic update. Mr. Steckel.
Thank you, Ms. Price. My name is Bob Steckel. I'm Director of Teaching and Learning Grades K through 6. And if you don't mind, I'll share a few brief comments with reference to what we're doing actually pre-K to grade 6 when we talk about kindergarten registration and some curriculum updates. And Ms. DeVitro then will take care of a presentation after I've completed a very brief few comments. A lot of time being spent on registering children for kindergarten. We started a new program this year. We've identified children a year in advance of coming to kindergarten. offering all kinds of activities from marketing to registering to transition events. To date, we have 364 students registered for kindergarten. We have 162 still out there that we will be registering, I would say, within about a month to a month and a half. Once those 162 are registered, we'll be in the neighborhood of the early 500s. And there still may be other students out there. We will continue to market to try and find those students, get them registered prior to the first day of school. Certainly that causes a great deal of concern for us, because if the children don't register, we still have to plan that they possibly could register. So we're hoping to get them done as soon as possible. A date will be going out to everyone, the board members as well, when we'll have our next kindergarten registration date. K-4 curriculum updates, just to give you an update about what we're doing there. We have obviously a standards-based curriculum. It is aligned with the standards of PA, and we are looking at, we've piloted 2 programs, English Language Arts program as well as a math program. We'll be reviewing the funding sources to see if we move forward with purchasing new resources for next school year. That's K-4. In grades 5, 6, next year we'll be piloting a series in the area of English Language Arts, as well as two series in the 5, 6 math area, and hopefully planning some type of change in purchasing in the following school year after we pilot next year. Those are some brief updates that I wanted to share with the board. You have them in writing. I thought I'd share them with the public as well. And I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Vitro, who has a few items to share.
If you don't mind, I'm going to go to the presentation. In your board packet, I just wanted to share with you some updates. And the first one is Cyber School. If you recall, I sent out a survey, a Cyber School survey, to all of our students in Cyber School. And I'm not sure if you have this in front of you, but I actually put the results of the survey in this report. And I wanted you to know that we received very good responses. 18% response from our survey. We sent out 114 surveys and we received 21 back, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. Overall, it was we were pleasantly surprised that a majority of our students responded that they actually would return to Easton in our cyber school program if we offer our own cyber school program, because they actually would be receiving the Easton Area School District diploma. So that was really good news. That allows us to recoup a lot of this money for cyber school and bring back money to the district and by providing our own cyber school program. So I wanted to show you the results. If you have any questions about them, I summarized them for you. I don't think you have any questions at this time about cyber school. No? Okay. Moving right along. PSSA testing began this week. Students in grades 7 and 8 have prepared quite a while for the testing, obviously. And this is the first year that the English Language Arts and math subject areas are actually aligned to the Common Core. So this is a new test for our students. At the conclusion of the testing week, each of our students who have demonstrated good attendance, effort, and behavior are rewarded with really fun activities. And they include dodgeball, tug of war, faculty sumo wrestling, which is always fun to watch, and anything goes junior. So the rewards are to motivate our students so that they do well on the test. All right, and lastly, I have a math textbook adoption presentation to show all of you. I have Dana Filter with me. Dana Filter is one of our math teachers at the middle school. Dana teaches 7th and 8th grade math. And just to give you a quick overview, I've asked our math department of 8 regular ed teachers and 1 special ed teacher to review 3 math textbook companies over the school year. They started this textbook review in October, and they did come to a conclusion. So I wanted Dana to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll go through some pricing with you. Okay, so Dana, I'm going to go ahead. Oh wait, 1 second, I'm sorry. I did provide all of you with a red folder. You might want to just reference that as she goes through this presentation. There's some information there. It's a pricing, a cost pricing sheet, and also some information on the textbook.
Hi, everybody. Next slide, please. These are the 3 textbook series that are prepared and looked at. The one that we decided to go with was the Go Math. The reason being the amount of resources offered from this company surpassed all other textbook companies that we reviewed. Some of the key features that we liked was the online features. Students can write in the books. They're actually, so every student would have their own textbook and they'll be able to write in their textbook, which, saves them from the process of copying down notes, especially for graphing and those kinds of skills. The differentiated instruction package, which includes, and I'll go over it more, worksheets, the actual textbook, those resources. That package itself was bigger than any other package from any of the other textbook companies. And also, since we know that Common Core is constantly changing, this textbook company said that if they update their book, they will give us the updated version of their book for free. So that's just something to consider, because obviously Common Core is a very organic thing, constantly changing. So if they do update it, then we have that updated book. And also, it was the best price out of the 3. So we got the most stuff for the most amount of money. So here's one of the other. In your pamphlets that you received from this Vitro, you'll see this in bigger. Some of the student resources that are on there, and it's an example of what's actually in the textbook and how the textbook looks to the students. One of the cool things that it has is QR codes. If you're not familiar, QR codes actually, you can scan it with any kind of electronic device. So we actually use the iPad cards a lot in the 7th and 8th building. I think every single teacher uses the iPad card. So one of the things that it offers is an actual real-world application to each skill, which is pretty cool for them to see. And then, next slide, sorry. One of the really cool things is the personal trainer. The personal trainer provides support for students above and below grade level. Students complete an online assessment, and the program recommends follow-up activities specific to that child. And that is sent directly to us. We have our own program that actually we can look at the individualized student and see, where they're performing at and what recommended activities should follow next. So that's one of the big things, is that personal trainer, and that it's all online and it's easily accessible to us. Next slide. The differentiated instruction package that I was talking about, it includes the personal trainer, which obviously is specific to each child, the level worksheets, which is working its way around, and the RTI for assessments. Each assessment targets all depth of knowledge levels, that's the DOK levels, which is big on our common assessments that we have per grade level. So that's just something that we're really trying to move toward, and this textbook offers that for us. That's all I have. You're up for a price.
Okay. So if you look at the slide, I wanted to go through the pricing with all of you. Not only did they like this book the most out of all the 3 companies, but it actually gave the best price. They weren't actually looking at that while they were reviewing it, but they obviously were looking at the content and the material. So grade 7, when we looked at our students, we needed 810 textbooks for grade 7, all levels, on level through honors. And if you notice up there, it's 6th grade accelerated students, which is very important. Our 6th grade students, many of them are in an accelerated track, and they need to take the 7th grade math. So this book includes what those 6th graders need in the accelerated track. So that's why you see 810 books. The total for that is $54,264.60. If you go to grade 8 is 620 books at a total of 34,819. But if you notice, the reason it's less is because it includes essential, applied, and academic students, which are on level CP and honors. It does not, on level applied and CP, it does not include the honors track. Our honors students actually are taught out of a high school algebra textbook. So we use the high school resources. That's why we can purchase less textbooks for the 8th grade. The total cost is $97,858. Let me just explain this to you. This pays for 6 years of textbooks, because this can be a little confusing. So that total price is for an entire 6 years of textbooks, which means we pay one time, but they will continue to supply a total of 1,430 books a year over 6 years for that price. That total per child, per student, is $11.41 a book, which is an excellent deal. And I believe the next competitive price was about $20 a book per student. Those monies will be taken out of our Ready to Learn block grant, which we had set aside. Mr. Steckel and I had sat down earlier in the year and set aside monies budgeted for this grant that we received. And the 7-8 building through Mr. First will be providing the $7,858 that is needed to complete that purchase. So it will be a one-time purchase with no shipping and handling charges either for $97,858.80. Do you have any questions about the pricing, the program, anything that Dana and I can offer?
Tell me about the books. How does that translate to as the students percolate through their years?
As each student receives their own book and they keep it. Is that what you mean?
No, but when they come in, this starts in 7th grade. So when they come from 6th grade, how does this match up to where they are in 6th grade?
That's a good question right now. In 6th grade, they're piloting a program, and they're actually looking at this book right now. Mr. Steckel.
2 years from now. Looking at it next year, possibly 2 years from now.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So between the book that they currently have and the book that's starting this book, they may not match up initially.
We follow the standards. So you have PA standards, so they're followed. So it really doesn't matter the textbook so much, Bob. What it does matter is that the standards are aligned, which our curriculum is aligned with the standards. So that's really what's driving the curriculum.
Okay.
So I answered your question. The book, when you use a math book, at times you're moving from maybe chapter 7 back to 3 based on your math and how you're going to teach it. So I'm not concerned about the alignment of the book so much as alignment of the curriculum.
And that will be true on the other side of it as well. In other words, when this stops in 8th grade, when they go from 8th to 9th grade.
Yes. Same thing. What's driving that is the written curriculum that the 9th grade teachers have, the 10th grade teachers, and so forth.
Okay. Are you saying basically all the books have the same basics in them anymore?
Yes.
So then what made this book stand out? Price is one thing. Was that really the determining factor?
Absolutely
No.
not. It was all the extra features that it provided us and the individualized attention that included the students as well. That in itself, being able to see, where to go next with an individual kid helps us decide, drives our instruction specific to that level.
And so then, in essence, you said 3 years, but per se, it stays with the student. 6. So down the road, we're going to be buying another set of these and everything.
Well, not for another 6 years. When we purchase this is for 6 years. So every year, as I was saying before, we receive 1,430 books. Each student every year will receive a new textbook. It's like a workbook.
And they'll continue going to, if they update the series, they will give us that updated textbook instead. So it's not the same stuff from 2015, because it's going to change.
So when you typically when we think of a textbook, we think of a hardbound textbook, and you get what you get, and that's it. It doesn't change. With these textbooks, they're like workbooks, as you can see. They're not hardbound. The students can write in them, they can keep them, and the other thing is they change. If our core standards change, or the Common Core standards change, the textbook company will change the book, and we will receive a new book aligned to the new standards, which is phenomenal. You don't want to teach outdated material. So that was a big selling factor, as well as she was saying, the RTII factor, meaning that it's leveled for our students. Our students can go online, and the teachers will get a report, and if the student is below grade level or above that topic, they can accelerate the students, or they can drop down to where the student needs the remediation. So there's a lot of pluses to it. I believe that's in the packet also that you received.
And is there anything in the contract as far as that the price over the next amount of years won't increase above?
It will never change. We pay a one-time fee for that. It's the $97,858, and that's it. For the 6 years.
In 6 years though, from now, we have to buy the next group coming through. That it doesn't exceed a certain amount. Is there anything no more than a 2% increase every year, or 3%?
You can't, are you talking 6 years from now, right?
Yes.
Well, 6 years from now, we might not have Common Core anymore. It might be called something else. So,
Right.
At 6 years from now, we'll review what needs to be taught, and then from there address and, look at the textbook companies. I mean, that seems to be the pattern that we've been going, it seems like it's every 5 to 6 years that we look at that.
That we'll be looking at new books.
Correct.
Yes.
If I could just offer this comment on Mr. Faino's question. We've been asking in a number of forums, asking companies to see if they would give us what might translate to a what would you call it? If you want our business, a repeated business, what can you do for us? For example, we're looking at our website and trying to see if we can get some updated things there. And I said to the current providers, the current website folks, well, we've been with you now for a while. If we come to what advantage does that pose to us to stay with you? Surprisingly, not a lot of these places are offering that kind of too much in terms of return customer kind of idea. It's disappointing, but I'm hoping that as long as we continue to ask, we're going to link finally to somebody who's going to say, well, since you purchased our books over the last decade, we're going to give you this rate rather than as a new customer coming on board, been a faithful and loyal customer in the past decades.
John, there's another reason I was asking the question. There are some schools that have gone totally to just using an iPad or something. And, as we look at this book and what's the next book and the next book after that, how close are we getting compared to, based on the money that we're putting out, to be looking and saying, should we be switching?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm sure that's one that you guys have talked about, because there's no question that's the direction that the whole business is going.
You're talking about using the iPad, right?
Correct.
And this actually there's a little black box, and you can hook it up to your iPad, your phone, and
It's a QR code.
it's a QR code.
Yeah,
Is that what you
But
mean?
he's talking about
I'm saying there's no more books at all. We don't
We're
put
using
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
hard copy.
We're not there yet.
Well, 6 years. One question I have, there is an online component with this.
Yes, sir.
Get a chance to evaluate that.
Yes, actually, the 7th grade used it a little bit this year. We only had a 95-day subscription, so it was very short. But that time, I did actually utilize some of the resources from this textbook because we are piloting the Common Core curriculum this year, and we are starting from scratch essentially. So, we're trying to compile. It was very different than what the PA standards were last year.
So students also participated in some of this, and you got feedback from them?
I did not, it was only for teachers.
Oh, just for
It was
teachers,
just
okay.
it was just to give us a taste of some of the resources that we had for
Okay.
us.
From the teaching perspective?
Yes.
Okay, just wondering about that. And do you see teachers in general becoming more heavily dependent then on the online component with that, as assigning more and more work from the online component as opposed to the actual book?
Unfortunately, no, because not every child still has a computer or access to the internet at home, so you can't rely on that yet.
Right,
We're getting
right.
closer.
Yes.
Definitely every year is getting better, but up until that point, which every child has access to the internet and a computer at home, we don't have,
Yeah.
we can't assign online work
Yeah,
like that.
I understand that. Okay, but you can assign it.
It can be done as a classroom activity, and most of the things you would want to do in a classroom setting, so that you're there to support.
Okay.
I didn't think about it before, but you mentioned it for Brian. So what is the percentage of our students, or numbers of students, that have internet access at home versus don't?
I would say it's probably closer to 95%. I mean, there's still the 5% that don't, but 95% of the classes that I see during the day do.
So about 500 students probably don't.
Yeah.
That's spread across all grade levels.
If you're spreading across all grade levels, yeah.
We're almost there, but not 100%.
I see a lot of in South. I see a lot of students, college students, who the only internet access they have now is their parents' phone. They're
Yeah,
not
that's right.
purchasing. They're living in an
Yes.
apartment off campus or something. They're not necessarily paying for the utility. They're using that to save
Right.
money.
Right.
To their students, they can take advantage of their time and work on the computer labs, which I know high school is different, obviously. So that's the thing I see. I don't know if you'll ever get to 100%.
Yeah.
But I see it, it is very handy to have this stuff up online and
It
really
is.
have that.
And we have that capability there. She said now have that
Yeah.
access, but they do use those cards or the iPads quite often in their math classes. So, yes.
So how does this plan going on? I'd be confident that we took a look at enrollment projections and thoughts for the 6 years going forward.
That's correct.
How did this plan account for enrollment?
Right.
Say we miraculously have 811 students.
Instead of 800, right. No, we actually, you have to project up a certain percentage point. I believe it's about 5% more, because you never know exactly how many students you're going to receive. So yeah, your projections are always a bit high, so that you have extra, but I know that we could probably work something with the company if we needed more. We also account for the academy students, we account for our learning support students, so you do have to go a little higher than your actual base, if that makes sense. Thank you. Great question. We would like to then ask to move forward to the board meeting. Ms. Price, okay?
Is there any other questions? No questions? Okay. Mr. Steffel and Mr. Beecher gave us K-12 update. Reception students are being registered for kindergarten, and we project about 500 students will be registered. And a new registration date will be announced soon. And 5-6 grades will plan to pilot a new math program next year. Mr. Beecher discussed the results of the cyber school survey, and said that 7th and 8th graders are participating in the PSS testing now, and the test is now online with Common Core. And we had a presentation about math test results, and math teachers and administration recommend the Go Math program. And that's
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Price. Do we have that report as we move forward? Sorry.
No, we did. No one-
You did? In case of anybody else, Mr. Any public to be heard on the academics presentation that we heard tonight?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I heard it, but I said I didn't hear you, so I want to make sure everybody has a shot.
Are we allowed to ask some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on up. Just make sure you sign in, please. Come on up, sign in, state your name.
Speaking clearly.
It's just a really quick question, Albert. I'm just wondering, as far as the personal trainer component, which I think is a wonderful,
Oh, you're talking about...
yes, I'm sorry, is a wonderful part of that. I just wonder, does that replace some of, right now there are some guided, individualized programs that are being used in the classroom. And I'm just wondering if that replaces what they're currently using, or if that saves money, maybe potentially, because it replaces some of the personal trainer part of it, where the students would be able to get that individualized and then the reports generated. Does that replace some of what they're using?
Well, that I think would be in addition to, but can you tell me what you're referencing?
The presentation about the textbook, one of the things that I thought was interesting about it was that what was included was the individualized personal trainer component of it.
When you're talking about right now, currently what you're doing?
Right. Is that an additional cost? Is that built into the book that the company provides that? Okay. That was really just my question. I just wasn't.
Really great feature.
Right. No, I could see that because it gives that individualized, and that generates a report for you.
Exactly. And then the teachers can go in and see where their students are, and if they need communications or acceleration. It really is nice.
Right. I just wanted to make sure I understood that part clearly.
Yeah,
So that's
a great
all.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, are there any other questions? No? Okay, I don't see any.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Price. We can have a report of the books. Okay, great. I will now turn it over to Mr. Obie for the buildings and grounds portion of our meeting.
Mr. Obie and board members, I'd like to offer some thoughts related to the district's need to look at our reorganization and the use of our facilities. You have all received this report, which serves as an update, a written update to you about what we've been doing and what we've been thinking about over the past number of months. Our central office team has been meeting regularly to try to sift through the information presented to us by the Pennsylvania Economy League. While I think most of the information and most of the attention has been given to the recommendation that they made, the fact remains that that report was filled with lots of very important information for all of us to utilize as we begin to look at how best to use our buildings. And it also gave us what they perceive to be a peek into the future of this community. So we've been looking at that report and considering what we're looking at in terms of the future of the district, and with actually two different lenses. One is obviously the instructional benefits that our students will gain through a readjustment of our structure, our grade structure. And two, we have to make sure that whatever we choose to do is financially sustainable and within reasonable costs for this district to take on. So with those two things in mind, I'd like to draw your attention to the Roman numerals that you find on that document. There are some on the podium here if you'd like to take a look. I believe there's, yes, there you go. Sorry, I should have mentioned that up front. You see 6 Roman numerals, 6 areas of need or 6 areas of concern. The first being the PEL report. The second, reconfiguring the middle school to a 6, 7, 8 middle school program, which would call for the return of our 5th grade to the elementary buildings. And then move the EAA, the academy program, to the first floor area of the middle school, which would allow us to close the academy building and sell that property. The third item is to keep the grade organization that we currently have the same, but move the academy program to the first floor of the middle school, which we believe we could retrofit into that building without a lot of fuss. We need to, and we've been talking about the review, a formal review of the renovations needed at both Paxnosa and Palmer. And recently, as I'm sure most of you know, we had to look at the needs of our high school pool, which we had to close for some renovations and remediation about a month ago. So we've been collecting district information on the district. I want to remind each of you that since the Pell report, we've talked about some important early childhood initiatives here in the district. One of those initiatives has been the establishment of 2 Head Start classes. You may know that the president and I believe our government has increased funds to Head Start program, and so the likelihood of that there's an opportunity of more classes looms if we can afford some space to them. You know that we talked about adding full-day kindergarten and starting off in our schools at Paxnosa and on the south side of Cheston. You also know that we have instituted a program for before and after school care with the Lehigh Valley Child Care Organization, and so all of those things are going to take some additional space that perhaps we weren't thinking about before and we weren't looking at the time. Our district central office team, quite frankly, supports maintaining neighborhood schools. We believe that's a key and essential element for safe and secure neighborhoods and communities. We believe that schools should be the hub of those communities. And so we looked at this from the notion of keeping our current schools open for the purpose of opening them as much as possible to neighborhood activities. So, with those things in mind, I will say to you that we looked at Roman numeral 2 on that list as something that will, something that can be done, we believe at this time, without a lot of finances. We will have to invest, I think, in some additional teaching positions when we get this reorganized. But we believe that we can retrofit, if you will, our 5th graders back into the elementary programs with success. We believe that parents in general will find that a positive thing, that we run K-5 programs and not K-4 programs at our elementary schools. We believe the EAA, which is currently housed in its building, will find a transition into our beautiful middle school campus, a positive, it'll be a good experience for everyone. We also look at the opportunity to secure that location in the first floor level of the middle school, which keeps that self-contained, if you will, and we believe that that's a plus for both the academy students. And that service, by the way, we all agree is vital to the health of our schools and our community.
We believe that a 6, 7, 8 building, middle school, is, it's a very common middle school organizational plan. It's successful in many places. I'm not sure that 5th grade level or 5th grade age children are necessarily going to function better in a middle school, quite honestly, because if you look around, you're going to see middle level schools with various grade structures. Some include 5th, some actually include 4th. And so I think that the idea of placing our 5th graders back into the elementary schools now that we have some space ultimately is going to work in favor of our students and in favor of our middle school program. I think we can expect a little bit more from our kids if we have 6, 7, and 8 housed there. What we'd like to do is offer the 3 items that you see listed on the back for the board for future work and conversation. We need to seek some concrete cost estimates. Now, I'm not talking about concrete as in cement. I'm talking about firm cost estimates as to what it will take for us to look at the grade realignment and adjusting our middle school. We also have to take a look at, if you will, getting perhaps a second opinion on the cost to retrofit Tracy. Quite honestly, we are thinking that the cost to retrofit Tracy School for the central office function and the academy function would range somewhere between over $8 million. If we sold both the administration office and the academy building, that yield would probably not come to half of that. And so that's where I'm looking at the sustainability question of how much money are we going to invest in that building, and how many students overall benefit. And that's where we come into the question about how many kids would benefit from that. Certainly the academy students will benefit from a newer structure, but other than that, no other children are going to benefit from that investment, if you will. So, for all of those reasons, we really want to say to you that we should get some more specific financial information about that change and also about some of the other moves and needs that we have that I listed in the Roman numeral section there. We need to have a bit of help and time to get cost estimates together for the reorganization of the middle school, as I said. And we also need to, as a group, determine how we would like to move forward with this. Do we want, what is the structure that we want to form in order to move us beyond now this point and looking at these alternatives? Do we want to have a board committee directed by board members? Do we want board administration? Do we want so many stakeholders from each group in our community? For example, several teachers, several administrators, parents, seniors. How do we want to proceed would be a question that I think we should talk about and discuss as a group. So that's your food for thought, and so at this point, I can honestly say to you that our recommendation is to look at something other than the recommendation of the council.
John, saying that, I think what would be interesting is that we set up a separate evening and everything to really go through this, because different thoughts come to mind. I'm glad to hear that you finally backed away from the idea of Tracy. That was a no-go in the first place. The second is, I think we have to, and And this is the reason that it would be nice if the whole board stays involved, and I think at certain points, it would be very appropriate with the community to see where we're going that they get involved. Such as, if you talk about redistricting, which in essence you have to move the boundary lines and everything, it would be nice that everybody continues to hear your input from them, and keeping it totally open like that. The reason I say this is, I think there's a lot of things to consider. We still have the trailers down 13th Street. When you walk over the floors, they give, they creak, they do everything else. Those have exceeded the normal life that we would normally keep them. And I think we ought to have a discussion about that. We have the ESCO project going on. As I said, the redistricting. We definitely know that there's work and everything needed as far as Chester. So I think we ought to get all our ducks in order and then say and decide how we're going to go and proceed to get some of the costs. If we want to look at rough costs, we actually have the studies that were done many years ago, updated about 2 years ago and everything by Dewey, that had some of the costs in for the buildings and the recommendations and changes, that we at least can look at that. I think from a school district point, from an administrative point, one of the things to do was to look and say, okay, how many comfortably can we put students in Chester? How many comfortably at 13th Street? How many out at Palmer? So on and so forth, as you move 5th grade back on. Because that's going to start to tell us how many classrooms do we really need. And then, do we have that number of classrooms scattered across the districts, across all the district buildings, which then will help to determine where the redistricting would be necessary or whatever. Now, there may be a different way of looking at that because of educational needs and things that we could look at. And again, I'm not looking to get into those details tonight. I mean, this is coming right off the top of my head based on some of the statements you made here. But I think because of all that, it would be interesting to set up and give everybody else a chance here too. Hear their comments tonight, but also have a separate meeting to start to focus on. But at that meeting, come in and say, how many elementary classrooms do we have, and how many do we need to make that move happen?
Good suggestions. I appreciate that. One thing I should mention, because you did bring that up, and I did not mention it at first, is that the decision to place our fifth graders back into the elementary buildings is going to carry with it the need to redistrict the elementary population, as Mr. Green said, because we do have empty classrooms, but they're not necessarily, we have to estimate, as you said, how many kids we're going to be holding in each school, or how many kids need to return in each school to the 5th grade, and we have those empty classrooms. Our problem, or at least the issue now for us, is that we have classrooms that are empty and scattered around the elementary buildings. When I say they're empty, I want to also reinforce the fact that they're not sitting with the lights off and nobody's occupying those rooms. Those spaces are all occupied by someone during the day offering services for kids. So I don't want anyone to to think that we're not using all of our space. So yes, those are good suggestions, and I appreciate that. The trailers should be on this list, I would think. That should be another item that we should add to the list of 6. There at the start of the page, we should add actually number 7, which would be the modular classrooms, because we have modular classrooms at both Paxnosa and at the middle school, and as Mr. Reynolds said, the modulars in both locations are, various states of use and need some repairs and so forth. Quite frankly, they're not too bad a shape. At least the ones at the middle school, I think, are in fairly good shape.
Yes. The one at 13th, though.
Yes, that's right. Good, thank you.
Any other questions from board members about what we've heard? I did want to just take a second to, as happened not too long ago, I just want to make sure we give one more acknowledgement to our administration for their diligence and really taking on this study, analyzing it, reading it over and over and over again, and working to make sure that a positive outcome came out of it. I will say that the public did their thing with this report. You stayed diligent, you asked questions, you beat our doors down in a good way, and we're appreciative of that.
but we just want to, I just want to make sure that they are standing out for the time that they took. Sometimes these things can take a little bit of time, and while it can sometimes seem like, we're not hearing anything, we're not hearing progress, I just want to reassure everybody that there are usually things brewing in the background to make sure that we get the best outcomes for our kids. So if there are no other questions or comments from the board.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, John. So do you have what you need from the board tonight?
Well, what I think that we can take the suggestion of setting a night aside in the future to maybe that's the night that we sit down and we go through and talk about, how do we want a larger group of people to be part of this process, or do you want a board committee? So if you don't mind, what we can do is take the suggestion to set a night aside specifically for this, and then we'll continue to try and pull information together. We can certainly count the classrooms empty, and with the idea of sending the 5th grade back, find out how many classrooms we're going to need overall. Take a look. Another thing that we're going to have to do is try to estimate. I personally think that there will be a need for several more instructors at the elementary level to accommodate the additional 5th grade classes. However, some of the other administrators aren't so sure that that will be the case because we're going to change the population at the middle school, which will free up some instructors there. So we can try to start that analysis and get that rolling. Be a little bit more specific than that.
I think that adjustment to our already scheduled meeting or maybe putting people aside before the committee or before.
Yes.
That would be beneficial to.
Sarah, just to give you a thought, because I've said to these before, sometimes these are discussions that go 2 or 3 hours.
That's okay, we can talk.
Yeah. The other thing is, Darren, you were talking about this report. This has not been made public yet. Now, since we've talked about it, we should make this available through the website or however, that people can see this report. So,
which report are you referring to? The Pell study?
yeah. And the importance of that is not just the recommendations, but where it talks about basically the capacity of the buildings and everything else.
Yes.
There's no
We
reason.
certainly can do that.
And I think we did get an electronic copy. That was one of the requirements.
Yes. Yep.
But as I said, because until tonight, this was not made public, so now it'll be open.
Well, it was made public through Michelle and other interested folks who called and requested copies. But you're right, we
Public is
can
public, so it is.
make it available to anybody to look at. Absolutely.
There's one from November 24th. We had those on the
Okay.
So we did so people
I thought we did, but I wasn't.
Okay.
I think, I'm sorry, I understood, I think it was just the PowerPoint. I don't know if the whole report was on there.
Without further ado, I will pass the meeting back to Mr. Opie to continue our buildings and grounds meeting.
So we had information on the reorganization. Now we're going to go into the presentation by Mr. Panetta on future contracting.
Yeah, I just want to report to the board the results of the bid on the Orange Township, Orange Elementary roof. 3 bids came in, ranging from $241,475 to $259,000, plus an alternate $3,000. The recommendation from myself and engineering is to award the contract to Allen Richmond Roofing in the amount of $241,475 plus $3,000 to provide a 30-year warranty on the roof. And the budget estimate for the project was $350,000. So I would recommend moving forward with this and would ask that we approve it at the next week's meeting. No, just consensus of this.
Leslie. And I know being an administrator and a board member is often probably a thankless job, but thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. Thank you for not only saving Tracy School, but keeping the elementary schools all open and the plan in the back sounds excellent. So after months of me coming up here for other reasons, I just want to say thank you.
Hi, Jody Hess, Palmer Township. I think it's a fantastic idea to move the fifth grade back into elementary, but I have a question. I'm not sure if you can answer it now. Was it considered moving the ninth grade back to and making it 7, 8, 9?
That's an excellent question, and yes, we did think about that. There were some of us who saw that, saw some value in that. However, we tended to agree that in general, the move of the ninth grade out of the high school, which would free up more space in the high school where we're jam-packed, that would present for our ninth graders challenges in terms of accessing, higher level courses, a variety of courses. So I think we agreed that given the circumstances, it may narrow the program for our ninth graders rather than expand it. We saw that the possibility of a ninth grade academy at the middle school is possible as something that could be very positive. We're ninth graders, it's a program very specific to ninth graders and that transition year, if you will. The other thing is that there's the issue of ninth graders wanting to participate and really should be participating in extracurricular activities and scholastic events and so forth and so on in our athletic program. So for those reasons in particular, we sort of rejected that and felt that we would leave 9 with the other high school grades. But I'm glad you mentioned that because we did absolutely talk about that as a possibility and reviewed what positives and negatives were.
My name is Michelle Robertson. I am the president of the PTA over at Tracy Elementary, and I first want to say, much like Andy, I've been up here asking a lot of questions at meetings. This is a big job that you're all doing, and we really, truly do appreciate it. I was one of those people knocking on the doors every 2 weeks with emails and whatnot, and really it was just for the benefit of the students and also to our parents who had a lot of questions, so I appreciate that. I liked all the recommendations. I do have a couple questions because I know I'm going to get asked this at our next PTA meeting. My apologies if I missed this. Where would the administration team go if we sold that building? Have we talked about that or?
No, at this particular point in time, we're thinking that we would leave the central office functioning out of the administration office until we get the kids settled and we look at what space we have. And quite honestly, I think we're still open to the idea of eliminating that property if we need to, and if we can consolidate that function somewhere else. So, but at the present time, we're saying keep the administration office open at least for the time being.
I would echo Mr. Fainall's recommendation to have a separate meeting. Now that Tracy's kind of off the table, we'd be happy to host. What I would also say is I believe the last time we redistricted was about 6 years ago. Sound about right? And I know there's a lot of heartburn. There's always heartburn when you start from the boundary. So 7 years ago, I know my daughter was going in Denver. And oddly enough, we used to be zone for Palmer, so I'm sure Tracy how things play out. I would say that discussion, as open as it can be, will really help parents, especially those coming into the district. So I would echo your recommendation there. You had mentioned that the timeline for this is 15 to 24 months, ideally. So we potentially could be looking at a 2016-17 transition?
It's possible.
Okay.
Certainly that year, the following year.
Okay. Okay. This is great information right here. Is this memo, will this be put on the website or is it on there already?
It's not on there because I didn't share it with the board. I will make sure it's available on the website after tonight, though.
Okay, because we will definitely share this with Tracy families as well as on our Facebook page, et cetera. I think that's it. Thank you so much again for all of your work and help.
Anybody else?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ed Lozano. I just wanted to say thank you very much for keeping Tracy up. We really appreciate it. I have a third grader, a first grader, and a future kindergartner. So you can imagine how important this was to our family as well as others. Just for clarification, given those children, what was the timing again? And I think I heard 2:15, 2:16.
Yeah, I'm glad that Michelle brought that up. The tasks associated with this are going to require some time, and my suspicion is that it will take a good 15 to 24 months for us to pull it all off. Now, that's looking at it from this point of view, but you know, once we get going, we may find we can do it earlier than that. But we're not interested in making big changes quickly, because I don't think that's fair to children and to parents. So we want to do it with enough time, enough information that people know when to expect this. And what would you say is a targeted year that we might want to look at? 17? More realistically, 2017, 2018.
So as an example, I have a third grader now.
Yes.
Next year he'll be in the fourth grade.
Right.
With that potential transition, I'm on that window. So could it conceivably be that he would remain in Tracy
And
in
it
2
could
years?
be if we're able to pull it off, and we're able to do this with, with some finesse and good sense. Where if we can do it without, with plenty of lead notice, yes, it's conceivable. And the other thing is, we were thinking, well, if we've got K to 4 classes in the elementary schools, could we time it in such a way that the fourth graders stay in for 5, and that we don't have a whole lot of transitioning, that who's ever in, how do I say this, who's ever in 5th stays in. The point is, we're going to do our best to make sure that kids are not too disrupted by this. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much again. Really appreciate it.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Ellis. It wasn't really on the agenda until I see this document. I'm just wondering what the current status of the swimming pool facility is. I'm the varsity swim coach. It's been very hard for me because it's pretty much like my passion to be around the pool, and now ever since states we've been out of practice. I know that it's very important for the phys ed staff and for the swim team just to kind of just know what the status is. Is there a process that we prepare?
Sure, Matt. I appreciate your question.
Well, I mean, it's not on the agenda, but I was going to update the board in the public that I just received the results of a study done by the engineering firm. Got the preliminary study yesterday, and now the time, obviously, your administration presented to your public the So I imagine that certainly by the next committee meeting, we'll be able to comment on the boards and some recommendations. And just for your benefit, Matt, we're looking at different options. Let's get up and running. Let's fix it so the nuts. Let's somewhere in the middle maybe. Just as soon as we can get that together and see how we can do it.
I was just dying to kind of know what the status is.
Quite honestly, the report took a little longer than anticipated, but I just received it this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I also want to we discussed about the proposal for the Bruce being awarded. Make that decision to go forward, get that done, and that's about it. Thank you very much, Mr. Obie. We will now turn it over to Mr. Fayol to close us out and to get us out of here with the finance.
Thank you. Put me on the spot. So, might as well start off. First thing on the agenda is the budget. As previously I sent out an email to everybody to send any of the questions you have for Mr. Simonetta to present tonight and everything, because the intent is we will be taking a vote at the next meeting for the preliminary budget, which at that point will make it a public budget. And the last thought is that the final budget will be approved in May. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that plays into what's going on in Harrisburg at our meeting in the next 2 weeks. So with that, Mr. Simonetta?
Well, I'll do my best. The good news is that what has been presented in summary the last couple times, nothing has changed. We are still looking at the budget at a 2.4% tax index increase. They're appropriating money from surplus, but there are no issues with layoffs. And this also includes implementing school-day kindergarten increases. So with that, I will attach in your packet this afternoon the actual state budget document. As we discussed a number of times, our current software program is not, I guess the best term, user-friendly to provide detailed reports. So I kind of work off of the state document and then we work in the file later and make up our own numbers. State budget document. That will be forthcoming. In the meantime, I will present the typical summary presentation at this time and chair for the committee report to the public. The budget, we're looking at $139,125,000. It's a little $3 million increase. There were two items that drive that increase. Contractual salaries, $300,000. Pension obligations alone, $2.5 million. Of that $3 million, 2.8 is for those two areas alone. There's not really much room for utilities, insurance, and all these other items that increase. I think it's important to reiterate that we only increase areas where we are actually obligated for, as I said, utilities that we need some money. Charter school was another area we had to increase based on the previous years of spending. All the other areas we've cut over the years, we believe we're down to our minimum, and we are really, I don't know if we're struggling, but we are watching every expenditure going into the classroom. We need to keep, in my estimation, the money that's in there flowing. So on this this graph, we have a breakdown of some categories that I just spoke about. Those areas that we really have no control over, And if you look at the first two sections there, contractual obligations and then the debt service and technology. Again, do we have, that's one area we could stop doing that. At some point, we'd use that money out of the budget, and we'd never be able to maintain upgrading the technology the way we have. But those two areas alone account for 90% of the budget. Then you get down to other areas, utilities, insurance, other budgets, our substitute costs, our overtime. We actually were been able to reduce that substitute cost by going through the source of teachers for the outside government. Then we get down to the last area, under 6% of our budget, all other areas, about $8 million, $140 million budget, not really that much room for discretion. And just in case, those areas include classroom supply, maintenance, equipment, parts of bus fleet. That bus fleet is aging. We're spending a great deal of money maintaining the buses and repairs. Books, software, technology, equipment. Large part of that expense is our professional educational services that we contract. So I'm just trying to make the point that when we get down to the budget, that area, that $8 million, under 6% of the budget, is the area that we pretty much focus on. We can try to accommodate and do our best to reduce. And that number, by the way, has stayed constant throughout the years, that percentage of our budget. So in total, the budget is up 2.3%, just in those small, few areas that I mentioned. Now, how we came to pay for those expenses, as I said, a 2.4% index increase in taxes. If you recall, by the way, this is all based on flat funding. Rather than department that we'll make that very clear. We've heard a lot of discussion. Our rule, great, we can do that, we can get more money. This time, we don't anticipate knowing our final numbers still probably after we approve the budget in May. So the prudent thing to do is move forward with constant funding. Now, you'll see there, big number on the fund transfer, $1,250,000. If you recall last year, we talked about the 3-year projection. We talked about appropriating $750,000 each year for 3 years to keep the balanced budget, teaching classrooms, no layoffs, and so on. For the 14-15 budget, we were in a position where we did not have to appropriate that $750,000. Moving forward, we needed to take a portion of that year to give you and add it to next year. But still, if you look at the 2-year range, we're still under the 2-year gap of $1.5 million. I'll talk about the surplus situation. So that's why you see that number $1,250,000. It's higher than that $750,000 we talked about, but it's not higher than the 2 years. The impact on the taxes, the school tax, it would be an average assessment of $60,000. The school, the average assessment in the district, $81 increase on the $60,000. We talk about the fund balance that I just mentioned. This slide here talks about my estimation of fund balance at the end of the 15-16 school year. That total number of $20 million, happy to say, brings us back up to where we were about 3 years ago. Even with appropriating probably about $4+ million over the last few years from fund balance. Last 2 budget years, we were in a position where we did not have to take the fund balance based on economies, savings, staffing that we did. The committed balance, as we know, is that's the capital reserve, around $4 million. The assigned balance is for pension stabilization, benefits, and other post-employment benefits. And the unassigned is that number that there is no dedicated purpose for that. It's pretty much at the board's discretion for approval.
Questions?
I've just got one question. Go back to the revenue slide of 99
Yes.
billion. That is 2.4% over our actual tax income, or is that based on if we receive 100%?
No, that's on, we're down to appropriating for 95.5% collection rate, which we've been going down each year. And I will tell you, as you saw last year, when we didn't have to take it from surplus, we're on the money with our collections.
Mike, and questions that were sent in to you and everything, did everybody get?
Well, the one, Mr. Snyder asked, and I mentioned at the beginning about more detailed backup, and we are putting that together with the functions and the codes, and we'll have more report out in Friday update. Again, it's not the state budget report format, it's not this format, it's an actual report coming out of file makers that we have to kind of mix and match. And I know there was Bob, you also had questions, which will also be coming out about details, those areas that I mentioned in that graph, especially that $8 million area, providing more detail on what's involved in that area that gives a little more insight to where our discretion really is. And for example, the supplies alone is $1.6 million just for supplies in the classroom. Not a great deal of money for this students. So that also will be coming in.
Well, the other one is, about 2 years ago, put together a little chart for you that had about 12 different categories on it. And the significance of that chart would be to see that, it would be nice to see that finished, because it showed where we had been, sort of projections of where we are going, and what, the current year, next year budget is. And some of the other items that popped out of that, because the question is always about, well, how much does busing cost? How much are we giving to charter schools? And all those types of questions that have been asked in the past were basically answered by looking at that chart. And so getting that chart updated and keeping that up to date on basically, I don't know if it was 8, 10, 12, or whatever set of numbers across, it gave that type of a picture. Because, I mean, salaries are salaries. We don't have to see, whether it was a salary for this or a salary for that. As salaries are salaries and benefits are benefits. But when these other types of discussions came up, that would provide the answer. So it would really be nice to see that come out. So,
yeah, I think that the last look at that, I think I had up to 14 columns.
and that could be. And we really don't need to break it further than that. I think that did give a pretty good true picture. Again, with the history, it shows, because one of the things you just mentioned tonight is we had to put more money into charter schools. Well, this would start to show where those monies were slipping to that. And with what's been approved in the last couple of meetings, it should show where hopefully we can regain some of those monies as well. So, I mean, that's just one area out there. Are there any other questions? Brian?
I'm sure I'm just missing something, but just to clarify, one of the slides up there before, you had that one. Local at 99,400,000. On the detailed one that you sent out, posted a few hours ago, under local it's saying 101,071. Something I must be missing something, or it must have been a change. So it's about just under $2 million difference in local revenue. There, it's on page B1 of the detail.
Yeah, Brian, on this one, the state document, this was at the 100% on the taxes. So I adjusted for that reduction. The final graph, that will be reduced. That'll match up.
And that's the point.
Because what happens is there's a $3 million, close to $3 million number. The homestead exclusions, that number does not come into the final budget document, and that will reduce this 101 on the local revenue sources.
Okay.
So the final document in May
Should reflect that.
That'll match.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Other questions? Seeing none from the board, would anybody in the audience like to address the board on any of the budget?
Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. We have a couple more items first before I go to the public. Moving on to the next item. Presentation by the library. Jen, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just a moment to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Stopper. I am the Library Director of the Easton Area Public Library. I just celebrated my 10th year as Library Director. I am a proud alumni of the Easton Area School District. I went to Cheston, and I thank you for your service. I know that this is a very difficult job, but I do have a background in public administration, and my goal one day down the road is perhaps to be where you are. Thank you for your time this evening. I am here tonight to present to you the 2015-2016 Easton Area Public Library budget. The total operating budget for the library is $2,216,000 with an increase of 2.4% increase in our school tax appropriation. You will notice that with Mr. Simonetta, we pulled out the in-kind donation from the district. We are working with him towards increasing the tax appropriation to appropriately reflect the library's cost to the district. The remainder of our budget reflects our own state aid from Commonwealth libraries and our own generated income. I recognize that many of you are newly seated to our school board, so I would like to take this opportunity to share just a few highlights of the library with you. Our library is one of the 29 district centers in the state. We were chosen to this role because of our strong local and community support. We provide professional guidance to the 8 libraries assigned in our library district. Within the state of Pennsylvania, our library is strongly recognized for our leadership. To this credit, I am honored to have been elected to serve the Pennsylvania Library Association in the role of Vice President, Legislative Chair for this current year, and next year I will be the President of the Pennsylvania Library Association. Although I am not the first from the Lehigh Valley to serve in this role, I am the first from Easton to do so. One of the new approaches to services that we are very proud of this past year was to open our collections and share materials between the Allentown and Bethlehem Public Libraries. This relationship has been very well received from our patrons and Lehigh Valley community in general, and most importantly, this is a cost savings for the libraries. You may have seen our library van, our shared library Lehigh Valley Library System van throughout Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. The Friends of the Library, which is the community-based library-supported organization, adopted a very special project for the library. They raised $28,000 for a fire suppression system for the Marks Room of Local History. The priceless, one-of-a-kind materials in this room that speak of our local history are now responsibly protected. For those of you that are interested in genealogy, our local obituary index now includes 1900 through the present. Partnering with the Express Times, we now have a microfilm collection of the Bethlehem Globe Times that is now also available to genealogists. This past summer's reading program, Biz Boom Read, welcomed almost 2,000 school-aged children who were challenged to read books, to earn prizes, and encouraged to participate in the educational activities and programs that our talented professional youth services staff host. All of these activities are offered for free in the district. Every day after school, the public library is filled with neighborhood children and teens taking advantage of all the resources we provide to them. And yes, we have free online, and many of your students are accessing online through the library because they don't have access at home. For the 3rd year in a row, we are partnering with Lafayette College to provide tutoring for school-aged children that are suggested through these elementary schools. We participated in the nationwide EDGE assessment for public libraries. Of the public libraries in Pennsylvania that completed this survey, the Easton Area Public Library scored above average, and we are proud to provide excellent modern technology tools for our community. We provide continuous programming for adults, such as foreign movies, educational and historical lectures, author programs, hands-on workshops, knitting circles, and book clubs. We have also started to include live musical performances. Our adult programs experience excellent attendance and are free to the public. Our e-book circulation has increased over 116% from last year at this time. To maximize our holdings, we have a shared collection with other public libraries in the area. Our annual circulation figures continue to remain positive. At the conclusion of our year, our total circulation is close to 400,000 items. If an average item costs $20, library users saved $8 million by borrowing items from the library. We are fortunate to have over 30,000 library card holders from our community. The Easton Area Public Library is grateful for the support that the Easton Area School District provides the library by agreeing to be our taxing agency. For over the last 100 years, the Easton Area School District and the Easton Area Public Library have worked together to provide a useful, cost-effective means of meeting the educational needs of all the residents of the Easton Area School District. We are very responsible with our annual appropriation, and we are proud that we are able to provide high-quality library service. We are proud that we have been serving the community since 1811. Finally, I hope all of you have received an invitation for our National Library Week breakfast, which is this Thursday, April 16th. I hope you can join us for a tour and a rare opportunity to see the beautiful Easton flag. As always, if you cannot make it this Thursday, I'm available to give you a tour of the library and show you the flag at any time. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight. Are there any questions?
No questions? Ken, thank you very much. But now, wait,
I'm sorry.
just a quick comment. I just wanted, I like seeing that this e-publication, e-loan numbers going up. I've seen more, as time goes on, I've seen more and more availability. There's time involved with getting that to happen, but I like seeing that happen. Very, very easy to do for anybody who has a library card and prefers to read off the tablet. Requires the community to download it, well, borrowing the book on the tablet. It's very easy to do. You just need a library card and a pin. It's very easy. I really enjoy that. They've added the books and things that are faster.
Yes, we have. We've worked together with the other libraries to maximize our holdings. The ebook industry has come a long way. When it first came out, it was rather closed. The publishers weren't quite working with libraries as well as they were with the Amazons and other agencies like that. But now I'm very excited, and we saw the big increase in January after the holidays, of course, where the number one gift is still iPads, tablets, and such. So I'm glad you're taking advantage of the service, and if there's any suggestions, please pass them my way.
Thank you.
I understand, and certainly, again, I do respect what you do, and I'm a taxpayer living here in the community, so I am interested. Thank you.
Thank you. So this will be an item that we would move forward to next week's agenda. Are there any concerns with moving it forward? And we have one more item.
Yes, that time of year again to the Testing Technology Department, Sue Stan and Ann McIntyre, to present the request to renew the computer lease. This year, it's time for the Coastal Campus and Academy. That was
First, I wanted to answer a question that came up earlier about the getting to a one-to-one laptop initiative. I know Mr. Fanel, I think, mentioned it, or Mr. Snyder. I actually, when we were starting the year, starting our lease cycle, I looked to see how close we were, because I feel like the cost of devices is going down, and an iPad is a third of the cost of a laptop, and we are very close. So this year, technically, we would have been able to do a one-to-one for the middle school students, but then we wouldn't have had the money for the teacher laptop. So we are getting closer and closer to that possibility. And so the numbers, if you're interested, I checked just now. We have 2,843 students in FIT 5 through 8 and EAA, and the devices that we're requesting, thank you. Sorry, the devices that we're requesting in this lease is 1,025 devices.
So we're about even better than a 3-to-1. So we're getting there. I know it eventually, and I think with the cost savings for textbooks and things like that, if we kind of work with our curriculum departments, we might be getting closer and closer soon. And then the other thing that came up, we put together our lease presentation based on our existing structure, because that's how it will be now for the next 1 or 2 years anyway. We'll have to rethink how our lease structure is set up. If we have K-5, that will be our much bigger lease for us than the other two. So we'll have to maybe get the technology department involved in that meeting when you have it, hopefully. Okay, just to review quickly, I went over this a little bit last year. The reason we lease, and a lease of a laptop is a little bit different than a lease of a car. We spread it out over 4 annual payments, and we don't owe anything at the end. So we do own them at the end. So it's a lease to own. We do refresh every few years, and that saves us on repair costs and saves us on costs for additional technicians. The equipment sale at the end of the lease, we always sell our student laptops to a vendor, and we sell our teacher laptops. We at least offer that to the teacher who owned it, and then we usually have a leftover sale. So we usually bring in at approximately 25% of what the initial purchase price was. Also, we're looking at this year, because of the 4-year lease cycle, we are thinking about doing 3 student leases. So we'd have an elementary, a middle, and a high school. And then the 4th year, instead of being an off year, we could do all the staff on 1 cycle. And right now, they're kind of all at different levels. Elementary is at Lion, middle school is still at Snow Leopard. We have teachers at all different operating systems. Which one is time to do like a Power School update affects everyone a little bit differently. So our goal is to kind of bring everybody together into 1 lease with the staff. This is our plan, which I mentioned to you briefly, but our goal is for the EAMS 5 to 8 building, we would need 825 laptops to kind of like for like what we have now, just to match that number. And we'd like to add an additional 200 iPad minis for students. The way the iPads work now, and I know they talked about it earlier, we have 4 iPad carts at the 5 through 8 building, and those are shared by departments. So the 5-6 side has to share that cart if it's a math cart with the 7-8 side. Our plan in this lease is to add 4 more iPad carts with 40 in each cart because of increasing class sizes, and then also to add enough iPads to the existing carts so that they would also have 40, and then that would cover some of the issues with the LAMP classes and things like that. So our plans would be to include 825 laptops. They would be 11-inch MacBook Airs for students, 200 iPad minis for students, and then for the teachers, we're looking at 210 MacBook Airs, and those would be slightly larger. And due to decreasing equipment costs, we're able to provide more equipment without really raising our budget. Some things changed this year. We put the East Area Academy, they held on to their laptops for 1 additional year. So we'll be selling 5-year-old equipment that's coming out of the academy. We're adding them in with the middle school lease. And then planning ahead, I already mentioned about putting the teachers all together onto 1 lease. So that's our plan in the long run, which means the teachers that get their laptops with the middle school lease would have those laptops for 2 years, and then those laptops would be used. The teachers wouldn't be able to buy them after 2 years. We would use them then to replace some of the old equipment that we're not replacing yet, like Read 180 labs and things like that, library laptops also. This is kind of what the budget looks like. If you look in the 2015 column, right now our annual payment is $169,000. With the middle school plan, if it moves forward, it would be, we always front load the payments, so that front payment would be around $594,000, knowing that our revenue is also included with that first payment, which would hopefully keep our budget right at around $540,000. And we do expect around $200,000 in sale revenue. We do continue to reuse equipment, so you can see the list here. We're reusing the Read 180 laptops, Secretary iMacs, and student laptops. Some of them we're keeping back, and we will just re-image some of the existing equipment that will still work fine with a re-image. So this is basically what we're requesting approval for, and I think you probably have the paperwork in your Friday packet. Our hope is that we'll get $223,000 of revenue to put towards that. Does anybody have any questions?
I guess for Mike, is this in the budget?
The only thing I want to say, just to qualify for the board, we will not exceed the amount of budget that we have for the youth purchase for last year. That number will remain constant. The only thing will change is when we get the estimate back from Apple, we are not, if we know ahead of time, we're not going to be able to reach that sale of the old equipment, and we will do some of the equipment we're purchasing. At the end, nothing will exceed the money that's buying.
So if we don't make the 223, you're going to reduce equipment
We
accordingly?
work towards it, there's new things that I've had meetings, but I think, that 223 is a rather conservative number. I think we'll get there.
The issue this year, this is our last year technically selling the white plastic MacBooks. So from this year forward, after this last sale, we expect that we should have considerably more in the revenue department because we'll be selling the aluminum MacBook Pros and they should be, worth much more money in the end.
Other questions? And the intent is, if there's no questions, this moves forward for 2 weeks.
Yeah, next week.
Next week?
Yeah, we want to, again, the order goes in, get them here, it's a monumental task for the replacing and all that stuff.
Okay, so no other questions? With that, are there any questions from the public? Would you like to come forward and address the board on any of the issues on tonight's agenda under finance? Seeing none, the summary ends up that the budget will be on for the purpose of finance, approval, the preliminary approval of the preliminary budget. Sorry about that. Approval of the Eastern Area Public Library, and last but not least, approval to move ahead with the lease purchase of the computers that was just described. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Moving right along, are there any public that would like to be heard on any non-agenda items that you did not see on this agenda today? Everybody don't jump up at once. Seeing none,